All right. Hello, everyone. Today we've got a super full cast. And it's definitely not because I don't know how to organize things, and it's because I planned this the whole time. But it's a very exciting day to have a full cast. And we've got three different people as you can see in the stream title. We've got Eric, we've got Ben, and we've got Justin. And I'll have them introduce themselves in that order, and then we'll hit some of the big spoilers of the day. So, Eric, if you'd like to get started.
Oh, I'm going first. Okay, sweet. So my name's Eric. Whiteblade 111. I've been playing Netrunner for a while. Competitive player. Hot takes. I'm on the artwork of Mutually Assured Destruction. Yeah, that's basically it.
Cool, Ben. Do you want to
That
introduce yourself? Yeah.
yeah, cool. My name is Ben Hamill. I also go by Slapdash. I'm one of the mods on the GLC Discord community. I bought the core set way back in the day and played a little bit with friends, but have not like kind of bounced off the game a little bit. But have been more seriously into it for I think I came to the game shortly after Ashes was fully out. So like the Gateway system update spoiler season was my first.
Cool. I'm gonna step in for 1 second before I let Justin introduce himself and say, do you play primarily startup or standard, or I guess eternal is the other format that trailing sentence leads to?
Uh, yeah, I have been getting into standard more recently. In the Austin meta, we sort of pick tack month to month for events, and so I've got sleeves of both, or both decks of both sleeved up. But I'm certainly very new to standard still.
Very cool. And then I guess Justin, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Justin, better known as Cephalopod Wizard on the online places, and I'm a member of the Nisei Rules team. I started playing after the release of Terminal Directive, and I've stayed hooked ever since.
Cool. All right, well, today we've got some spicy cards. It's been a little bit slowish for Corpse for the last couple of days, but we got at least two really big cards and I think some really big pieces for some other decks. So let's, without much further ado, go into a card we've been talking a lot about. One nice thing about releasing your card in pieces is that you get covered every single day. Um, so this is Sam Swede's Champ card. Big deal. This is a 17 cost terminal operation, 5 influence in HB, and it has a 3 trash cost. It says, after you resolve this operation, your action phase ends. Place 4 advancement counters on one installed card. You may score that card if able, and then remove this operation from the game. Designed by 2018 North American champion Sam Swede. So, quite the card, I think.
It's not.
And,
I mean, it's funny because everyone was like, "Oh yeah, this is like gonna tutor an agenda from your deck and score. It's just like gonna end the game."
Yeah,
And
the
like,
hype was real.
it's just like 17 credits is not a lot of credits. Like if you just build your deck around like actually just making money, like you hit 17 very fast. um, I think is the reality. Yeah, this card's very good. I don't think it'll be played outside of HB though.
I've got some
Five influence
ideas.
is a lot of influence.
sorry, what
You
were you
know,
saying, Justin?
I'm not outside of HB, says Eric. I've got some ideas though.
Hmm.
Are they win your first GNK kind of fun tech ideas?
Oh yeah, they're not gonna go into any kind of high table.
Yeah, I mean, like
It's
you
just
could think.
cheese.
Yeah, you definitely could. I feel like it's like, oh, outfit. Well, I was playing like 2 archive memories. If I can cut those and 1 extra influence, maybe I just seal my last 5-3 with this. I don't know, but
but there's no consulting visit. Like I kind of agree. Like if consulting visit is in the pool, it's like okay, so we play one a big deal, and like you consult for the big deal. Like you go install, consult, score 2-4, win the game or whatever. But um, you have to find it, and then also like they can just trash it, right?
Mhm.
So if like the big deal gets trashed, it's pretty bad. And I think the place for it is going to be like Asa because fully op is one of the best econ cards in the game.
mm-hmm.
Just like it's click, it can be like click for 8. I think if you're like really all in on Big Deal, you can. How does NASX work, Jeff?
So for each fully off trigger, you can put, I believe it's 2 counters on the NASX or something like that. Wait,
Yeah.
I don't remember. Oh goodness.
They are individual procs, and you can use them all on paying into NASX. So you can
Okay.
do some kind of combo, get a ton of money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whenever
what
you
is
gain
NASX?
credits through a card ability other than NASX, you may spend up to 2 credits to place that playing power counters. Wait a
Yeah,
second.
okay.
Each proc of fully off is a different trigger for NASX.
Yes. So if you have 8 servers, you get to put 16 power counters on NASX.
And then click it for 32.
And then click it for 32. Yes.
I mean, okay, so
You need 1 more credit before you can play 2 big deals at once.
Yeah.
Ignore the last line of the card, though.
Well,
the
you just
first
put
line.
2 in your deck, right? Yeah. Yeah, when's my I get to ignore terminal
Right.
ID coming out?
didn't they already print that? It's called Neomorph. I don't think NASX, like, okay, so playing NASX in ASA, I don't think is terrible. Like, I think you can put this in an Acer mode and it's fine.
Yeah.
And then this is essentially doubling the money you make from the fully up triggers, right?
Yeah.
That seems good.
Yeah, that actually may be a real thing. Ben, I actually have a question for you, which is you like run R&D, or let's say you run HQ. Let's say you run HQ and you're on like 10 credits and the corp is on 10 credits. Do you trash this card?
Yeah, oof. What do the agenda situation look like in terms of scoring, you know?
Yeah, that's been a good question. Let's say you're both on 2 points, right?
Yeah, I think and I'd be really tempted. I kind of think it depends on whether this card shows up as like a one of in decks that aren't like totally built around it, or if you only see it in decks that are like all in. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be sorely tempted, but I think that the trash cost is pretty pretty well dialed in terms of making that decision tough over time.
Man, I think I don't think you get trash it. First off, never respect your opponent. Secondly, this only works like the big deal only matters when they're on 4, right? Because the whole the big use case I think for big deal is you score 3-5 with it.
Right, install advanced big deal.
Yeah, I mean this is just 3 biotics stapled together. That's all this is. And I think it's like a good principle from many. Like this is not a netrunner principle. This is like a principle of card games. Is that like in card evaluation, bundling is a very powerful effect. So it's like even though this costs more than like just playing 3 biotics, it's like 5 credit. It's like
technically
it's
1 credit more expensive. Yeah,
so it's like if we just look at that, it's like it's worse than playing triple biotic. But like the reason this card's great is you get the bundling effect of like essentially drawing the other 2 biotics.
Yeah, and the other thing, it's like it's technically 1 credit more expensive, but another way you can think about it is, it's also saving me 2 cards, which sort of comes back around to get it. I see D&D DMDB talking about are there any good targets that aren't agendas, and someone else was talking about what if we like did this on a ubiquitous vig, it'll pay itself back in only 4 turns or something like that. You'll break even after 4 turns. I think this being terminal, like I don't know, like it's hard for me to imagine a situation where like I'm gonna park 4 advancement counters on a Vladisbursk grid and not score it. Like I should just be scoring an agenda whenever I'm playing big deal. I feel like It's like if I'm not doing it, I'm winning the game, and I don't know how I'm winning the game if this is ending my action phase. At least with the card pool as it exists right now, that we know of.
I think this is pretty well designed to tell you to just score, don't do anything else.
Yeah, I agree. This is definitely just like this is here to score. This is here so that if you're one of those corps, like for a long time, like Weyland had this issue forever, but like HB or just Glacier decks in general have had this problem where it's like, oh, I can get to 4 points, but I can't close it because the runner has caught up to my ice. Or maybe I can close it, but like they've just swept my hand. Like they're going to be able to sweep in and really get there.
Yeah,
Magical Christmas Land scenario.
I think this card sits in that space that June has talked a little bit about before, of like the game is nearing the end, and how do you just close so that things don't just drag on, you know? I don't know. It's a big haymaker at the end of the game, right? That's nice.
I mean, I think it's just basically like, oh, hey, the runner can't just like do nothing all game. You know, it's like if you just let the court make money, it's like you get like, I feel like especially if it's ASA, it's like you get into that game, you get into that like period where you're just like, okay, so like I know all the cards on the board are just econ assets, and like essentially the ASA player is like a turn cycle behind because they have to spend a turn like installing the agenda. And this is just like, oh, you can convert all that money into just like winning the game. I think that this is probably gonna be a 1 of or 2 of an ASA, but I think it's actually good enough to just like essentially reinvigorate the ASA archetype entirely.
Yeah, it might be.
Especially with like,
oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, especially with cards like defense, like oh fuck, I almost play
Refuge Campaign.
Refugee camp. Is it refuge or refugee?
It's actually Refuge Campaign, and then the flavor text talks about it accepting refugees. So
okay, perfect.
It's advertising the place though, not the people.
I got the lore dialed in. The refuge campaign I think is probably just good enough to be in ASA because it's like 2 pad campaigns stapled together, and I think that's probably just good enough. Yeah, I think stuff like that. I think Fairchild 3 coming back is good for that archetype too. Like Fairchild 3 is like one of the best ASA ice because it's just like you put it like it's one of the best single ice remotes in the game, straight up. I think.
Agreed.
And so you have that threat, and so I think you can just do like something with fully op in the campaigns and win the game that way.
Well, I feel like this card is it's worth the 13 minutes we spent talking about it, but we should probably talk about some of the other cards that came out today. So let's go. Oh,
All right. Consider, for the cheap price of 2 influence, you can import Public Trail and Orbital Superiority into HB. They'll never see it coming.
oh,
wait, what the fuck?
That's hilarious. So they take the.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You tag them with Public Trail because everything's going well for you. We'll just assume a Spherical Cow, install Orbital, put 4 on it, and score 4 meat damage.
Oh, whoa. No. So we have a Biorid work crew on the board, Rezzed. We biotic, triggering the Biorid work crew to install the Orbital Superiority in the remote. Then we spend 3 clicks to play Mutual Assured Destruction, trashing a rezzed card to give the runner tag, and then we use the leftover click to play Big Deal, putting the 4 advanced tokens that the Orbital Superior is on the board now. Score it, do 4 meat damage. They still have 1 card in hand. We lose the game. It's perfect.
Beautiful. All right. Hey, Seabass, you will find out what this background art is from tomorrow when my video goes live. All right, so this is the 1 Jinteki card for the day. It is Mavirus. 3 to res, 0 trash, upgrade ambush, Jinteki, 1 influence. While the runner is accessing this upgrade in R&D, they must reveal it. When the runner accesses this upgrade, you may purge virus counters. If this upgrade is rezzed, do 1 net damage. And then it says trash, purge virus counters.
Please tell me this is actually pronounced Mavrius.
No, this is what the runner says after you proc it. My virus!
Oh my god, it's so bad. I can't believe we have to play with this fucking name and standard for the next like X years.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Well, yeah. Like, I think, there's not that much to say about Cyberdex, or Cyberdex Virus Suite, but now it's Jinteki. I think that does mean it ends up having some interesting gameplay implications. But
Every corp deck got 5% worse, right? Like every corp deck except Jinteki.
every fast advanced
Because-
corp deck got a little bit worse, yeah.
But I mean, just like even like okay, so it's like, hey, one of the things in theory that was keeping, Amakua down with Cyberdeck Sandbox, which is banned now, right? So it's
Yeah.
like maybe you actually want this effect more, but now it's like okay, you have to pay like 1 to 2 influence, and so it's just sort of like when we think about corp decks, right? Like corp decks are paying a 3 influence tax. Like every corp deck's 12 influence because you're playing 3 spin doctors.
Yeah.
And so now maybe like if you feel like you need a Cyberdex in oh my god, I'm not gonna call this the virus. If you feel like you need a Cyberdex in your deck, you get to pay an influence, which is like okay, so now we're like 1, 2 influence down, and now we're like 5 influence down, and we haven't even spent any fucking influence on cards that help us win the game, really, just not lose. Is that a whale in the background?
It
That-
looks kind
I-
of like an orca.
It does sort of look
Aren't
a little bit like the Darwin Orca, yes.
Yeah.
Aren't orcas whales? Oh, wait, is the lore that this like so last time we saw our boy Darwin, he was in the Cyberdeck Sandbox.
Yep.
And this is like now he's like released, used by the corpse to hunt viruses now.
I think if I had to guess, the
out.
blue things actually. So, Infinite Nutshell, Jamie, the rules manager, said linked in chat the Wikipedia page for Mavirus, which doesn't have a pronunciation guide, so I have a complaint to them. But it actually, these little blue things are the shape of the Mavirus, or the example bacteria that gets infected by the virus. So
It
I also
can't be this name. It can't. We should stop fucking kill me, dude. There's no way. I just refuse.
virus.
I'm gonna run down. I'm gonna try to find a real pronunciation from some science reference or something.
Yeah,
I'll let you know.
It's Latin based, so I'm sure it's got something weird. I also want to shout out June in the chat saying, "Look, if you don't kill someone by resing a virus to get that crucial last net damage you need on the subsequent turn to combo kill the runner, you're just failing to live up the masterful originality of this design."
I think okay. So then, is this artwork? I love this sub theme that Nisei started of just like every set is Darwin getting shit on in different ways now, because like there's secure and protect from Downfall.
Yeah. I'll go see.
And
if I
then
can-
Sandbox from up, and so it's like I really love this like lore meme of just like every set it's like Darwin's getting messed up, dude. It's a bad time to be a Darwin. Oh, it's so good.
Let's see. Yeah.
So if you really want to troll people on this pronunciation, you could go full Latin and pronounce it Marius. Marius. I can't even say it right.
Do you think this net damage ability is bad?
I think it's expensive at 3 credits, but I won't be surprised to see it do stuff. Especially if you're playing some kind of Jinteki, like, slightly wide deck, where you have some amount of ice and some things you want to protect. This suddenly starts looking really nice against Amakua, which can normally be a bit of a problem for that list.
I have a rules question, Justin. Can I res this after the runner commits to access?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so this is free net damage, and free net damage is busted. I don't care what your nationality, race, or creed is. You're taking one net. That's busted. Like, I just feel like any effect that is like 3 credit for one net damage is fine. That's fucking fine. They can't do anything about it. Like, that's one less hit point they get, and they had no choice in the matter. That's busted. I'm not saying it's like that's why you're playing the card. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that like the fact that we get to play a tech card that also like has genuine utility in a lot of matchups is like a big deal, because like decks were playing cyber decks and it did dick all in some matchups, and now like you might actually like use your cyber decks in certain matchups now. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
I'm looking forward to this killing someone.
I will say, like, oh shoot, I had a thought and jumped on other people and then forgot it. Some people are calling out in the chat that like also you can border control in OB. This is a nice one influence slot to help you go from 4 to 3 to 2.
Holy fuck.
So
wait. Also, this card's not unique.
It's not unique, no.
Okay, so if I put 3 of these in remote and you access, that's 3 net damage. That's unavoidable.
Mm-hmm.
For the low cost of 9 credits.
Super gone.
9 credits win the game. Sounds pretty good to me, dude. You res an enemy. Like we just got some enemies. They hit a sting. Like, come on. It's like if we dream a little. Like, it's not. Like, it's free net damage.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Although we also had the capability of doing 3 price X for a similar price. So
Yeah, but this one purges Vast counts.
And that one gave you a
That's
tag.
true.
Also, net damage is more thematically in line with what Jinteki does, so it's more powerful. You don't want to have it's like wearing like yellow and like blue or whatever. Like, you don't want to have clashing colors, so it's like it makes sense to just be all net.
Just make it.
The red ones go faster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, there was that ace of the deck at Worlds that was like just jam a bunch of cards that no one had looked at in like 5 years in the remote. And so now you can do as That's No Moon calls out, just do the 3 Prysac, 3 Mavirus server, and go to town, and then the runner plays Light the Fire, and you are so sad.
They take a core damage, and that's net damage for the rest of their life.
Good shout. All right, let's move on to some of the, I'm just going to call them what they are, OB support cards. We have Envelopment. It is a 5 cost, 5 strength barrier. When you res this ice, place 4 power counters on it. When your turn begins, remove 1 hosted power counter. This ice gains end the run before its printed subroutines for each hosted power counter. And then it has 1 subroutine that says trash this ice. And this is a 3 influence card. So Justin, what's your take on this?
So I've been playing nothing but Startup since it existed. So in Startup, this looks like a much better version of Sandstone. And I think this represents a pretty big tax that is eventually going to get mulched into something that 4. And I'm looking forward to it, and I expect it will be the staple for trying to get a little bit of getting some kind of rush out in OB.
Yeah, this does line up pretty nicely against Cleaver, which is my understanding basically the barrier breaker in the format. So yeah, you either need to have your sucker counters ready, or this is costing you quite a bit just to even get there.
What does Cleaver do?
Cleaver is the base strength 3 fractor from Gateway, and it's 2 credits to boost it by 1 strength, and then 1 credit to break 2 subroutines.
Oh yeah, okay. Cleaver is bad. I mean, it's only 6.
Yeah, it's not that bad, and you can. Yeah, 6 is like, definitely not bad.
Like what barriers are there? What high strength barriers are there in startup besides Akat?
Sandstone and Pharaohs are the two, and Bran are the ones that come to mind.
Yeah, but Cleaver is quite effective against most barriers in startup. Yeah. Do folks not feel like 5 is kind of high, especially since it automatically counts down? Like if Sandstone's not getting run, it stays at whatever strength, but the runner can kind of chill on this, run other places, and then it becomes very
So
well, it becomes cheaper.
you mean the 5 cost is a little too high to res it?
That would be my concern, given that the biggest power is right when you res it.
Yeah. So
This
I
kind of
will.
looks like one of those Weyland cards right out of Genesis Cycle. Like if you squint, like this looks a lot like Swarm, dude. It's like the same energy, kind of, not in a good way.
So I will. Yeah. I think that's true, but I will say I think the reason I think this card exists is it's not in startup, which is a bit of a little sad for startup, but is the card Border Control. Which I am going to pull up on screen for the few of you who are startup primarily.
Are the champ cards not in startup?
Champ cards are not in startup.
What is startup?
Startup
Ashes Gateway.
system update
Ashes Gateway system update.
and Midnight Sun at the moment.
Okay.
And yeah, I think the idea is if you haven't used your ob trigger yet this turn, the runner either has to pay an extra credit to break the trash that's ice, or they let you turn this 5 credit envelopment into a border control, which in a future turn you'll turn into a 3-cost card and then do some nonsense from there, right? And so that's I think the place for envelopment. I think envelopment like a 5 for 5 with 4 relevant subroutines. Like that's maybe marginally playable, but Sandstone I think is also it's like a 3 for 5 if I'm remembering correctly.
I think that's right.
Can I?
So
Can
so
I
you're
just, can I just
3
get it
for
on my-
6. 3 for 6.
3 for
on
6,
Sandstone.
but when the runner encounters it, it immediately loses a
Oh, yeah, fair point.
strength.
Can I just get it out of my system, Jeff?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think this card's fucking good at all. I mean, I just don't think it's good in standard. I think, like, first off, you're just getting your ass blasted by paperclip. Like, let's start there, right? You're paying 5. You're gonna break it for 4, and then they trash the ice, and then, like, God help you if you want to use your ob ability somewhere else in the turn. There's definitely gonna be times where you border control as ob on the remote and get an AF shot, and then they go run R&D and fucking trash your R&D ice. That seems bad. I think in a world without paperclip, maybe, but like, man, I'm not gonna like. I think this is better in like startup. I'm not gonna pretend to know the intricacies of the startup pool because I don't, and so maybe in startup where the breakers are worse, makes a lot more sense. I think in standard, I think that's like not great in ob, and then God, if we play this outside of ob, like seek help because it's like we're just playing an ice that trashes itself. Like that's not good.
Yeah, I definitely don't see outside of ob. I don't know.
I will say the other nice card that you get at 5 cost is Mausolus. Or from going from 5 to 4.
Mausolus is great.
Mausolus is actually maybe the better fetch than Border Control because you want to have a lot of control over when and where the border controls go. But like, you always being able to just say, "Oh yeah, Mausolus on my central that I care about is fairly relevant." But I'm not going to stand this card for too long. Let's move on to.
Pizza. Wait, sorry. Pitzel just said finally something good for Helium-3 and Eternal. Kill me.
Also, Pinsel, isn't it like it's probably midnight where you are. Thanks for stopping
Pitzel
by.
is asleep. They just pull him out of the HB combo crypt. Every scoop season, and they put him right back.
All right. Well, this next card I was told specifically someone wanted this card. This was the reason they were hyped to come on stream today. So Here we are. This is Stavka. Is a 4 to res, 2 strength Sentry Destroyer. When you res this ice, you may trash one of your installed cards. If you do, this ice gets +5 strength for the remainder of the run. Trash one installed program. Trash one installed program. So Justin, I'm going to throw to you first because if I'm remembering correctly, you were very excited to talk about this card.
So, we weren't too hot on the 5-cost ice, but I think this is the one where it gives you the most control to fire Ob in a run. And you can do this. I'm seeing this as you've res this, trash something that costs 2, and you mulch something into a defensive upgrade if you think the runner's going to get in. Or if you think you just have it, you can mulch it into a Malapert Data Vault.
Wait.
Yeah, that is quite
You can use
flexible
this
for
to-
this.
Can you use, if you trash a 1 cost, can you tutor Void?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. This lady's busted. What the hell? What? Oh, that's not good for the game. Oh no. Yeah, I never thought of that. Fuck, okay.
This might be the reason that this might be the reason you count until all of these 3 get rezzed, and then you can play a little more safe, like pings in NBN.
I think this, like, okay, ignoring the Ob synergy, 7 strength is an assload of strength. Like, that's a lot, dude. Like, that's really high. That's higher than most things. So it's like, okay, so if they have Bagalt is 2 base strength, cost them 5. Well, Bagalt is busted. If they don't have Bagalt, like, okay, 7 MK so
Bagalter's
this costs 9 credits to break with MK if you boost it.
I'm not
That's
checking
pretty good.
Revolver because that's the other card here. It's base.
You have to boost twice.
It's 7 strength, so yeah, you have to boost twice. So Revolver maybe gets through this kind of efficiently. Actually, I think it gets through it more efficiently than Bagalter does, which is a sentence you don't say very often.
Wait, are we shooting a Saturday Night Special at a tank? Is this a tank? Is that what this is?
But it does
think
sure
it's-
look like a tank, doesn't it?
I think it's a
I'm
truck.
amused.
I also think this, yeah, I think this is just a good piece of advice. I think you might play this outside of Ob. Like, it's obviously very good in Ob because it's like any card that is good and then also has a trash effect is just going to be incredible in Ob, right? Because it's like, oh, we're already playing it because we think it's like pretty okay, and then it has this absurd synergy where like it tutors Void for us sometimes, I guess. I think outside of, like, I think an outfit, like, there's a you can play this as like a big face check penalty of like, oh, they have to trash 2 programs, or like if you really want to, you like, because you don't have to trash the card to get the strength, right? Like, you can just res this for 4 and it's trash 1 installed program twice. And the next like closest thing of that effect in Weyland was Sapper and Ballista. And
Yeah.
I think for 1 credit more, you play this over Sapper, and I think this is better than Ballista, even though Ballista's more.
Yeah, that's a good point. This probably is actually a pretty nice for that rig shooter Weyland archetype. I think like people are calling out the boat or the endurance and boomerang as being a little bit sad because it's +5 strength for only this run, and it's only got 2 subroutines, but you know most ice is going to have 2 or fewer subroutines, so you can only boomerang and boat so many cards per turn, I guess. So.
Mm-hmm. Also, if the
Uh.
strength is important to whatever you're doing, that becomes an interesting res decision if they've got boat counters now and they maybe won't later or whatever. Endurance counters, I mean.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is like one of those ice where it's like it'll be pretty clear when you should res it, but it probably isn't always an auto res, which is kind of cool.
It's a cool ice. I mean, it's like we talked about in the shower net, you can listen now.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like it's in that like yeah. Wait a second. We didn't get credit for these, huh? you better put shout out at the goddamn description of the stream. We gotta get those residuals. I think something Jude was talking about was like, oh, this is a sick. This is more ice like ping makes the res decisions dynamic, makes the runs more dynamic. I think it's good. Good one.
All right. Well, should we go on to a Weyland operation?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the most exciting Weyland operation spoiled today. Extract. uh, um, so extract, a 3-cost transaction operation. Which support is blockchain support and also Core ID Weyland support. 3 cost. It says gain 6. You may trash one of your installed cards to gain 3 credits. So I mean, this is very clearly a card you want in your ob decks because it is like it's a green beans, which as I went over on a previous stream is the etymology for beanstalk royalties, which was a click gain 3 credits. But here it's now if you then trash a card, it's a click gain 6 credits and get your ID ability trigger. So it's quite the it can be a lot of potential value if you have a nicely set up ob deck. So
I think it's neat to see variations on basic money cards like hedge gamble and whatever with little faction twists like this. So I think it's cool.
do you guys think it can go outside of Weyland at all?
I mean, you can play it outside of Weyland if that's the question. Like you're allowed to.
I don't think you pay 2 influence for this.
Yeah.
I guess I was just wondering, like, if I'm like a Near Earth hub list or maybe like a Jinteki shell game list, like, could this be worth like? Well, yeah, in Near Earth hub, Excavator actually probably makes more sense, but maybe I'm playing. Yeah, maybe Excavator, especially because it's 1 influence cheaper, is just always your go-to.
Yeah. And if they trash Excavator for 4, they fucking played themselves. So like you got value. You get value either way. I think. So go ahead.
I think Excavator is probably how you'll want to be triggering your ID on your turn, but sometimes they trash them all, like absolute monsters. So maybe you'll play one of these just to make sure you can do that.
Yeah, I do feel like against Ob, like actually trashing their excavators if they're running any. And my assumption is Ob is going to have some excavators, though I could be wrong about that. Like if the runner is very good about keeping them down, suddenly your ID is completely blank, and having this as a card you don't need to defend for a whole turn before you get to use your ID ability might be a really nice feature to have.
Sorry. Someone said something in the chat that I want. Staff
Okay.
is it also about staff, which it's another good thing for staff is like once it's like a 2-string sentry that you don't like anymore, you can always like trash it off. Like it's a good like refuse target. I think this card is pretty great in Ob and pretty awful everywhere else. I mean, okay, trashing one of your cards. But this is going to be some napkin paper math. It's like every click is at no. Come on, every click's like worth at least 2 credits, probably 2.5 credits, because like there's the opportunity cost of what we could just spend the click on, and then if we're paying install costs, oh my god, it's a value catastrophe. So if you install a card and then play extract, that's very bad. Don't do that. You're gaining like 2 credits of efficiency, and that's dubious at best. You could have just played extract for game 3 and clicked for credit, and we all would have been happier. Yeah, I think in Ob it's quite good. I think sometimes in Ob you will trash unres cards, you just need the money.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also like we can't just trash. Like the interesting about Ob is like you kind of have to pick and choose your trash effects because it's like if we just trash all of our cards, like how are we gonna win? Like there's a point where like we just trash everything and then we have nothing, and our opponent's like, oh cool, I'm gonna like sabotage you to death or something.
You mean
I'm
you
straight
don't just
punitive.
proc your ID ability as much as possible and then be lat with all these cards in no win condition?
Perfect, delicious.
All right. Well, I think we've probably talked this card to death. So we should probably talk about the card that I was teasing about, and also the card that has Eric's face on it, which is Mutually Assured Destruction. Would you like to read this card out, Eric?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, it's 4 credits. Mutually Assured Destruction. It's a Weyland operation. It's a triple. As an additional cost to play this operation, you spend 2 clicks. Trash any number of your res cards. Give the runner a tag for each card trash weight. It's designed by 2020 Asia Pacific champion Eric Keelback, and it's 4 influence.
Now, Eric, I want to ask one question. Do you live in the Asia Pacific region?
I was in the area.
Okay.
When it happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I'm
that
just.
that tournament was so long ago. It's fitting me because I won that tournament on Weyland, and I also won that tournament on the creed that Corps had no win conditions and were bad, and so we printed a Corps win condition. It's all coming together.
So, Eric, before I know you have a lot of thoughts on this, I actually want to get Ben and Justin's thoughts first here.
Yeah, for
if
sure.
that's okay.
Yeah.
So one interesting thing here. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm with my startup obsessed self. There's not tag based meat damage. So it's hard to say that this is going to become a win condition, but I'm certainly going to try it. But I think in standard there is where this looks a bit like could be a hard hitting news, but more tags. And this seems to be fairly convenient for setting up the boom.
Yeah, this does very clearly seem to be setting up for boom. Ben,
Also,
I think
this is what high profile target had to go.
I mean, this yeah, biotic labor, mutually assured destruction, HPT would be a little unfun, I think, in a lot of cases. But Ben, you were starting to say something as well.
Oh yeah, just similarly in startup, tags are not that big of a deal, and especially more tags. But maybe there's, I don't know, for influence, like is there something about I don't know, is psychographics still legal? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
But I don't know. For influence a lot for trying to NBN some shenanigans and win on points.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking like, oh, could we do a mad and get a, you build up a couple of you build up your NEH board state, you play maybe one or like maybe two of these, you have your daily business show, so you make sure you draw it, and then you just get to do some kind of big Psycho Beal. Like, you're probably not doing the like 13 advancement 7-point Psycho Beal, but maybe you're getting, halfway there and fast advancing a couple things or scoring off the board. Like, could be kind of interesting. All right, Eric, I'll let you off the chain.
It's so good. Yeah, I mean, like, it's just, I just wanted a card that was sick and twisted and would tilt people, and like, I'm so happy with it. I think it's so good. I think I'm like excited for the Salty JNet screenshots where someone complains about how like they didn't make a run and they still died. Like, that's the ideal game state. Yeah, it's like a win con for everyone's favorite decks. Spam and combo kill. But yeah, I mean, like, seriously though, so it's good. I think it's not as good as people think it's gonna be. So to start, crashing your res cards is a high cost, like straight up. and having a lot of res card, like if you just like forfeit all your ice, most runners are gonna just run ref shot over you and end the game, because like ice is the thing that's stopping them from doing that. So we have to trash all these assets, and like runners are pretty good at trashing assets. So I think that it is good, but not as easy to trigger as people might think it is. I think the combo kill version is also good, but it also has some problems. So the first is that the best way to do it in standard, I think, is probably to be MCA austerity policy, probably out of HB. The problem is that pinhole threading exists, and it's pretty much a one-card counter to shut down this argument. Because it just pinhole thread, they trash the MCA austerity policy, and they end the game.
I'm surprised you.
Second,
so like, oh no, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were you gonna say, Jeff?
I was gonna say I actually I would think that you could import MCA into OB because you can trash a 2-cost thing, go find your MCA, and then click it, and then when they go and trash it, you just put it back in your deck and make just run them out of pinhole threadings while keeping this threat in your hand, like keeping this threat on the board.
Yeah, that's a better idea than I had. I didn't think of that. I forgot you can tutor the MCA austerity. I also think that I think also, and like thinking about it on the runner side, no one home is a pretty good answer to this.
Yeah.
Because no one home triggers on any number of tags. So you just like have to have, that means like when you mad combo, you essentially have to have more money than them, which is really hard. And like, so that's not to say that I think the card is bad. And I think it's just like something you really have to work towards and also like answer problems. Never mind the fact that misdirection is still in standard. I think mutually destruction actually gets a lot better once it leaves standard. Once misdirection leaves standard, which will happen on Bell Tower release. I think Zeechling like put it really well in chat, which is like, I mean, the question is going to be how often is this better than Hard Hitting News? And I actually don't think this is better than Hard Hitting News a lot of the time. It's just different, and the decks have to be different. So yeah, I'm excited to see what people do with it. Like, I don't really have like, it's not like in playtesting I had like a mad deck that I think is the deck. It's sort of just like, I was just sort of, the way I always felt about this card is like, it's just like powerful enough, and like someone will figure out a way to break it. Like hopefully, I'm really excited to see what people do with it. It also feels really weird and good to be on a Netrunner card because it's like I've been playing this game for like 10 years now. So it's like really awesome to be immortalized in a Netrunner card. I'm really happy with the artwork. I think it's good art. And I'm really happy with the name of the card. I think Mutually Assured Destruction is a really cool name. Yeah. I think I'm just really happy with it. And I think also like it was cool. I think people are happy with it too. Like it's been cool seeing the community feedback because it was like, I remember when like we were playtesting it and like when we were like, okay, it's done. I was just sort of like, people might not like this. Like that's the fear I had, where I was just like, this guy's kind of fucked up.
Oh, hold on. As you say that, I'm remembering that someone sent me a prime image that I have to go put up on screen. So give me a second.
Oh, while he's doing that, I want to say that while I'm not sure what to do with it in startup, this card is perfection. The art and the button and what you are doing is magnificent, and I would consider bringing a big red button to a tournament if I was playing this card.
It's great, yeah. Shadow Electric, this was the original submission.
Yeah, I think this
Like,
card made
that,
it through unchanged or very
changes.
close. Yeah.
So other cards changed around it. Like very quickly we realized, oh, we got a bad HPT. But I think it went through with like, I think I want to say like almost no changes. Like it might like the big question always in testing was like, and I'm like, okay, if people in these say, I know you're not supposed to talk about tests if it's my card,
changed, but
I think there's like this discussion about whether it should be terminal or whether it should be triple.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy that it's triple because I wanted to leave the door open to combo decks. Because like combo's like one of my favorite archetypes in Netrunner. Simply the Onion, I think it cost like 4 the entire time. I think it was just like, this is a good number. I think it might have cost 5. I remember like I designed it with June in like 10 minutes. I was
The
just
name's
like,
even the
oh,
same, isn't it?
sorry.
This was even the name it play tested with, right?
Yeah, no, this was the name. The name was I remember the name because during uh the reason I came up with this name because at the time I was taking a course on nuclear security in my political science degree. And so that's why I was like, oh, mutually assured destruction is a sick name for a card. And yeah, I remember I was just I think I banked out in like 10 minutes with June, and June was like super cool because I was just like, hey, I want to do this WinCon. I talk about it in the podcast, but like I really like this idea of like Weyland always gets payback no matter the cost. And it just happened. I just got very lucky in the sense that like it trashing your own cards was the theme of the Weyland cards in the set. And so it synergized with Ob, and I think it just ended up being like a slam dunk generally. So it was like very lucky in that respect. Yeah.
All right. So this is a meme sent to me by an anonymous patron. And I think I'm not gonna read it out because I think that kills memes harder than anything else in the world. But I do love this.
Wait, are these panels in the right order? I feel like you have to read top down.
I think
That's
no, I think
that's how they do it in the
oh,
acting.
Okay.
that's
No,
true.
stop! You're killing it.
Also, like, I just think triples are cool. Like that was another thing for me was like triples are like kind of this like weird Wayland sub theme where like they get most of the triples in the game. Um and so just I was just like, yeah, like triples are lit. I also just really like this thing. It just like has cool play patterns where like it leads to like these really tense moments where like you trash all your ice, like you give them 8 tags, and you're like, okay, you have to win the game next turn, or I win. And I think that's really exciting, and it just sort of ends games, and I think that's a good thing instead of like the games like dragging out forever. It's another reason I like Big Deal. Like Big Deal's nice because it's just like, okay, the game's over. Like someone's gonna win. You know what I mean? Like that's good. I think for Netrunner games, like we don't want to play like 50-minute grinder games. Like it sucks.
Oh yeah, that's so much better than I would res tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think these are some really exciting kind of win condition cards for Corpse, and as was talked about on the Shadownet episode that came out today with June and Eric and Phil, you know, Corpse needed some win conditions. A lot of this last standard meta has basically been defined by the Corp win condition being just more efficient and hoping that the runner messes up. And these cards are like put up or shut up moments. You know, if the Corp is on 20 credits and 4 points, boom, this is you know, as the runner, you fucked up, you lost your window, GG's. And usually sure destruction creates those moments of, do you have an answer? If not, you got 4 clicks, do your best. So
Yeah, it's good.
all right,
you got NBN tomorrow, right, Jeff?
I will be coming out with a video sometime, hopefully early in the day, but I literally have to go and record it after this with some fresh NBN spoilers. Sokka is streaming. He's not streaming today, but he is streaming on Sunday, I believe, with his spoilers. And he'll be doing a spoiler recap stream tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern time, so an hour after my stream starts. So you'll get a better player's perspective on what all these spoilers mean. And then we're sort of in the final stretch, you know, just another couple of days till the full set's out. And to answer Infinite Nutshell's question, my preview tomorrow will go up on YouTube, and then I will do a daily cast in the evening where we go over those cards again. So you'll get to hear me talk about them twice. I'm going to try and have an actual theme to the YouTube video about card evaluation and how I think about it. So there'll be some content there that's a little bit separate from just talking about those cards in particular. So that it's worth it for those of you who are want all of the possible Netrunner content you can consume.
Can we get like a pre-scoop? Like what style of card? Like what like are the agendas, operations, assets, ice? Like what cards did we get here? Come on.
They're all NBN cards, and
Are
They-
they rectangles?
they are rectangles, and I believe each of them is a different card type.
Oof.
So, yeah, cool. Well, thank you so much, Eric, Ben, and Justin, for coming on.
Thanks for having
Any
us.
any final thoughts before we call it a night?
Thanks for having us
Yeah.
on, Jeff.
June, sorry, I'm not shitting on tier. I just don't. It just feels bad when say now that's rezzed and you have to break it. But also looking forward to everything.
Yeah, I'm super excited for Borealis. The set is looking like it's going to create a very different meta and a very fun one, and I'm looking forward to talking with you guys, with chat, everyone about it. And the set's looking super hype. So excited to play some more, and I will see you all around, and I'll see you all tomorrow about 23 hours to talk about some more spoilers.
Okay,
Bye,
see
friends.
you around. Bye.
Bye.